The question is not real cool. It's coming from as a writer. I started off doing proofreading and she's been having a lot of trouble getting published. This is non-furry. And I was thinking actually going to self-publishing, I think, and setting up our own publishing house.
Right.
Any advice you can give on doing that? It's obviously a limited company, so we're not liable for like £100,000 of big
Advice that I could give you, well, try not to spend too much money. Minimize the financial outlay. Like, it would be tempting to consider it an investment and really put up a lot of money so you can get a lot of returns. And you know that you can certainly do that. If I invested more money up front and continued to invest up front, I definitely would have seen much more in the way of profits, which I could then pass on to the authors who contribute. But frankly, we all do this pretty much on weekends and after office hours, right? The boys at Fair Planet, guys at Rapid Valley, so forth, they all have day jobs. So a really good investment is to minimize stress. Minimize the risk that you expose yourself to so that you can just do it and have fun with it. And sure, okay, maybe then you make 40% less than you could have made, but you were never at risk. You didn't have any sleepless nights over any issue other than, you know, is it good enough? Are people going to like it? You're not going to wind up in financial ruin. So yeah, the liability is also a great idea. Yeah, you know, unless you have some real concrete question about it, that's about it. That's like the main thing that I absolutely want to. Don't spend too much money.
Because you have been looking at, we have got a printer lined up, so it's all typeset, we've done the cover design ourselves. It just needs to go to printers. The problem is, we have no assets. We're both university students, so we have no money. We've got massive debts from student loans. We have trouble every credits. So the bank won't give us any money.
Well, it's what I was talking about earlier. There are services out there that are completely free. CreateSpace is connected to Amazon.com. I'll give my card later on. You send me an email, and I'll just walk you through it.
Right, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Because this was actually kind of related. You were talking about the print on demand stuff earlier.
Yeah.
Do you actually have any examples of that here that someone can have a look at?
People see.
That's actually print on demand?
Yeah.
The whole thing?
The whole thing.
I was not aware of that.
CreateSpace or Lulu? It's shiny.
That's CreateSpace. Lulu's not so good for cover.
Okay, and
that's why I was asking.
So no, the quality is exquisite. The black and white stuff is. Was Cruelty done for CreateSpace, or did they print that in-house for Planet?
They printed the limited editions in-house, which was the first 200 or so.
Right.
For the following couple hundred extra or so, I don't know what they used.
Okay.
I really don't. I know they used a print-on-demand service, but I don't know which one. Sorry.
You
have to ask them.
Yeah. But for black and white products, it's perfect. It's laser printed, and you know, laser printed technology was introduced in the 1980s, and it was proper print to press quality then, and it still is now. In fact, this is a cool little story, and after this we're going to take a break. When I started Fang originally, I had this dream that it would be like an absolute rag. It would be this, like, harking back to the 1920s, 1930s, the dime science fiction anthologies that you pick up from a newsstand for 10 cents, and be made basically out of toilet paper and just printed with stamps. You know, I like this idea of working really cheap, really raw. So when I started investigating that, I suddenly realized that this was probably the most expensive prospect that I could have gone for. Printing small, printing on cheap, shitty paper is incredibly expensive because you can't do that. You can't run it through a laser printer. The absolute cheapest way to get your books printed is to have them look perfect and be nice and big and thick. Miserable time we live in.
Would have been, if you could roll it down a print run of 5,000 or so, then you know that would have.
If we had like an economy, I mean, we'd be talking about a very different situation. If this was a con with an attendance of say 10,000, where sales figures in the thousands were the norm, then this panel would be completely different. Because it's not. Sales in the dozens or hundreds are impressive, like that big steaming pile of reality that for Planet Talk. I mean, obviously we're really pleased that you did much better than that, but it was a fair, you know, it was a fair realization that we are a small community, and it's also, yeah. I was going to launch into a sidetrack, but I'll do it some other time because otherwise we'll be here forever.
I was just going to make one final
last one.
Yeah, just an observation there. If anyone's heard of Matthew Ebel.
Yes, the musician.
He's a very musician. I think there's some interesting parallels if you look at what he does. He's an unsigned musician. He's not with the major labels, completely independent. But he faces a lot of the same issues of popularity, self-publishing, gaining a fan base, and I think it'd be interesting to look into how the challenges he's faced. I think there's a lot of parallels to what we do.
Yeah, it'd be great to hang out. I know another musician, non-furry, called Jonathan Colton.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We know him from, he did the theme song for the game Portal. He tried something very interesting for his music, which is basically give it away for free on his website. And then, you know, he offered people the ability to buy MP3s, which can be freely pirated. So his idea was to just give it away. He did this thing where for a whole year he'd release a new song every week, and the audience could vote on what kind of song it would be, what kind of genre. And he'd just constantly give this stuff away for free. But I've read a couple of interviews with him, and his income is okay. You know, and this guy is internet famous, especially after Portal came out, where he became hero to the nerds. But it's just okay. The sort of romantic notion of the artist or musician or the author who really breaks out, and then, you know, their newest album or their newest book is released to a huge press party, and you know, cities are erected in their name. That's dying out, and it's a bit of a shame to lose that dream. But at the same time, we're still going to be doing what we're doing. We're still going to be writing, and it's not like we had a huge, great deal of that it was very likely that we would wind up on the cover of fantastic magazines, and that we would have people falling over our names. We'd probably still be in this situation, and it's good to realize the reality of the sort of publishing context where we're in now, where you just, like, seriously, for another 5 minutes, we are a small community. And the sad thing about that is that there's not a lot of products that you can move. The audience is fickle. And when we're going to be done in like 5 minutes. On the other hand, they come to you. You know, it is a very tightly integrated community. And there's a lot of opportunity for independent artists like Matthew Ebel, like Dark Natasha sitting next to me, and Rukis over there, to simply talk about their stuff. And 5 minutes, man, we'll be right out. No? You just got to walk right in. All right, that's cool. Awesome. And then we're done. Because we're being invaded by people who are super cool. Right, okay, let's call it a day. Dark Natasha, Rukis, thank you very much for joining us. What do you want to do now? What's the next thing?